All right, so here's the situation. It is 13 degrees outside with a wind chill factor of 1. This is not good. I've got to feed my chickens here. I don't know how I'm going to do it holding the camera, but we're going to see if it can be done. Here you go, chickens. It's coming down. It's coming down the chute. Here it comes. There you go. Enjoy that. They've got a nice warm hutch in here. I do keep it heated. So they spent the night in probably about, heck, I don't know, 60 degrees last night. They didn't realize it was cold till they came out. Their water was frozen, but I've since poured some hot water in there. At least they have something warm to drink. It's not cocoa, but it should do. Now my fingers are freezing off here. But what I'm going to do really quick, because I'm very concerned about these hives, is I'm going to look at all of them with a thermal camera and see what the situation is. I'm not really too concerned with the bee barns. I think they're going to be fine. Matter of fact, I'm pretty certain that they're going to be fine. Those are heavily insulated hives. But what I'm not certain about is what's going on over at Bee Castle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at all of these girls really, really quick with the thermal camera, and then we're going to run over to the Bee Castle yard and check that out before I go off to work today. It is a cold, cold, cold day, and this is no good. Even my bird bath is cold. Yeah, not good. What's the temp say there? 1. No, it's 12, 13 degrees. It is not good. Not good at all. Let's get the thermal camera. All right, so today we're using the TopDon TC002 thermal imaging camera. Now this is the one that actually attaches to my iPhone. I think for Android they have the TC001. Now I did get this thing calibrated in Fahrenheit, so we know what's going on there. So that box on the outside is 13.1 degrees, 12 degrees Fahrenheit on the outside of the box. It's a little warmer up there in the top, 16 degrees, 17 degrees. That tells me we have a cluster in there, and they're clustered right there near the top of the hive. And the same thing here, right there. So we're looking at about 13, 15 degrees. That's warmer than it is outside, because right now it's 13 degrees outside, maybe 12. I don't know. That is a frozen wasteland of a bee bath there. Now the bee barns are a little bit harder to read because they're heavily insulated, but you can see a little bit of a heat signature down there by the entrance and up here in the quilt box that is attached onto the top of these things. So we know that hive is alive. This is the army hive with no quilt box and no control box. So we're gonna have to look here. Yeah, we can tell that these girls are alive. They're doing a good job. They're alive right there on the old Juno hive. The purple hive is alive. And the Krynock bees, well, we know they're alive. They're too mean to die. Actually, they're not mean. They're just very hardworking bees. There you go. And the sage hive, we know they're in great shape. All right, we know that these girls are alive. The ones I'm really concerned with are my wife's little hives up there, because they are not heated at all. And that concerns me. So let's go jump in the Subaru. We're not taking the truck today. We're going to take the Subaru because I have to go to work after this. And head over to the Bee Castle yard and just make sure that those girls are alive. And I'm going to have to end this right here because my fingers are freezing. And I don't want to get frostbite. There's the chickens in their heat signature mode. All right, let's go to Bee Castle. All right, so we're over here at the Bee Castle yard, and it is cold. It is just as cold as it was over the other bee yard. It's 13 degrees, maybe 12, maybe 13. I don't know, it's cold. In the bees, there's absolutely no activity on any of the hives. I wouldn't expect there would be because there's barely any activity with me. If I take my hands out of my pockets, my fingers freeze. It's not a good thing. But anyways, before we begin, because we're just going to verify that these girls are alive, I want to share with you a little bit of anxiety that I have, and this is just this year. I mean, this is my 6th season beekeeping, my 5th season on YouTube, but this is the first time since I've been beekeeping, because my very first winter in beekeeping, I was using heated hives. I actually built my hive heaters prior to installing my first package of bees, and I ran them a little bit the first season because I got the bees in maybe the very end of February and threw them in the hive, and I kept the hive heaters running, keeping the hives at 70 degrees day and night through the middle to the end of March on my first season. So this is the very first season where I've not used a hive heater at all. I've got absolutely no hive heaters running at the other bee yard. Now granted, most of those hives are in bee barns, and those are heavily insulated hives, so I'm pretty certain that those girls are going to be okay. Now, the two hives that my wife is running over there, the BTS and TXT hive, they're in the same boat as these girls over here in the Bee Castle yard, and that is there is absolutely no insulation. I have done nothing extraordinary to prepare these bees for winter. They're just they're going to rely on their own ability to stay alive in this this temperature, and to be honest, I don't know how they're doing it. I mean, I understand the mechanics of it. I understand they're clustering, they're vibrating the thorax, they're keeping the queen warm, they rotate from the inside of the ball to the outside of the ball, and they keep doing this, and they do that for, you know, months in colder climates. But this is Georgia, and it's usually, I mean, we get a couple of cold days like this in this part of the nation, but you know, it's not sustained. But they did say on the weather that this is going to last for a, you know, last week it started getting cold, this week, and then throughout next week it's going to stay cold, you know, lows in the 20s and in the teens and the 30s and highs in the 40s and 50s. But they said that by the end of next week, we are actually going to have temps that are 70 degrees in the afternoon, and that worries me because that's like the same scenario that we had last year where spring sprung early. A few things started to bloom, then a lot of things started to bloom. The beeswax just eating up all of their syrup and all of their stores, all their honey in their hive, going out foraging for the new stuff that was squashed when a cold freeze came through at the beginning of March and just wiped everything out. And then we had almost no nectar until midsummer. It was, well, early summer, it was bad. And because of that, we had a pretty tough season. So that gives me a little bit of anxiety. Another thing that's given me anxiety about the beekeeping this year, this winter, is there's a pretty big investment in this Bee Castle yard. Not just the hives. I mean, the hives are, they're value hive. These are great hives. And they have a great value and a great price. If you haven't seen Bee Castle, go over and look at Bee Castle. There's my quick plug for Bee Castle because I like these hives. But that's not the point. The point is that it's cold and I am obligated to pollinate this farmer's fields and crops this year, and if this cold snap or any subsequent cold snap takes out my bees, I'm gonna have to buy packages to put into these hives first thing in the spring so that I can still meet my obligation and have some sort of a honey harvest this next year. So I'm anxious. I've got a little bit of anxiety happening. I'm hoping that it all works out, and I'm pretty confident that it will. I hope. I hope they live. We're going to check today to see if we see any heat signature at all in the hives. If we do, I'm going to call it alive. If we don't, I'm just going to come back in a couple of days when it's a little bit warmer. Maybe next week when it's 70 and get into the hives and see who survived and who didn't. But there you go, and there you have it. So what we're going to be doing is using the Top Don TC002. I think I got it in my pocket. That is this. This is a little thermal imaging camera that attaches to your iPhone. Now, it might be the T002, might be the Top Don TC001. It attaches to your phone and turns your phone into a thermal camera. That way I can look at the hives, you can look at them with me, and I can still talk. It will record audio with my phone, whereas the Top Don TC004. This is a standalone unit. Now, I like this one. This is my preferred method when it's just me and I'm not doing it for the cameras, because I can come out here and look, I can take pictures, but I can't record video on here with audio. So it doesn't really help us out in the video making process, and it doesn't help me share it with you. So we are going to be using my phone and the TC002 to look at these hives to see if these girls are still alive. I guess before I do that, I'm just going to walk around the hives and make sure that everything's okay and there's nothing structurally wrong, or maybe animals may have gotten into them. I don't know. We're going to check that first. I mean, it needs to be done, but the only reason I'm doing this, I want to keep my fingers in my pocket for a second. It's cold out here. Seen planes, trains, and automobiles when they're in the back of the truck? and they're riding. They ask what the temperature is, and he says it's 1. Well, that's the wind chill today. It's 1. Thank goodness we're in a draw here, and the wind's not really blowing. But out there, it's 1. Let me get my thermal imaging camera. Let's get this thing started. Okay, right when I said there was no wind, there's wind, and now my fingers are freezing. Let's go ahead and look at these hives really quick, then I've got to get off to work. Okay. All right, well, we know these girls are alive. You can see that hive is glowing. And the temperature right there on the outside is 8.3 Fahrenheit, but you know, we get closer to it. You can see that hive is glowing. That hive's alive. This hive has got bees in it as well. You can see them right down there. Oh, this hive is very, very blue. Well, we get closer to it, and we can see something right there around the lip. There's a little heat coming out of it. So I want to say that they're alive. We have a little tiny bit up in the top here. We can see they're alive. This one, yeah, it's definitely alive. It is definitely alive. Look at that. Holy moly. And that one, excellent. Very, very happy. So we're going to get over to hive number 10. That one is in great shape. Look at them, nice and orange. I like it. I like it. Here's the hive number. There, you can see the cluster there. It's right there on the side. Excellent. Excellent. We're going to get the hive number 10, the next hive, or hive number 6, depending on which way you count. They better be alive. Oh, yeah, I see some bees. Right there, right at the top. We have some heat. Okay, so I'm going to say that they're alive. Excellent. Oh, they're definitely alive there. Wow. That hive is cooking. We've got both handles are hot. Like it? These little girls right here. What do we have here? We have some heat inside that box. You can tell by looking at the handles there. And what do we have here? Both handles are hot there. And some leakage of some heat around the top. Right, I see heat signature in that box. I see a heat signature in that box. Both handles are warm. That is a good thing. We have a heat signature in that box. You can actually see it right there below the handle. You can see a spot. So they're in the back of the hive there. They're on the side of the hive here. Holy moly. Oh, that one's got a nice heat signature. That one's doing fantastic. Look at that. Woo! But my hands are not. Uh-oh. Okay, now I see some glow in the handles there. Tells me those girls are doing it. And last but not least, oh, that cluster's down in the bottom. All right, there you go. Let's get on the other camera. So I'm fortunate, all of these hives are currently alive. All right, well, there you go. I'm fortunate and happy and excited. But again, this is day 1, and this is supposed to last for another week at least with these ice cold temps at night. So, I mean, I'm not going to count my chickens yet. They haven't hatched, but maybe they'll hatch by next week, and we will have survived what I think is going to be the coldest cold snap of the year. Now, my fingers are ice cold now. They're tingling. It's that cold out here. My ears are about shot as well, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up and say that I hope you enjoyed this video and coming along with me on this little adventure before work today. It is a cold, cold morning in Georgia, but the good news is that the girls are alive, and I'm not going to have to spend a couple of grand this spring yet to repopulate dead-outs. So there you go. With all that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, do me a favor, give me a thumbs up. If you have something to say, by all means, please comment. And if you've not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, take a moment, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell to be notified of my new content. I do try to drop a video every Friday. We try to keep it light and have fun. So with all that said, be happy, stay warm, and I will see you next week. Take care.